The 2000 Honda S2000, the fifth of the 20 Hondas I've owned in my life. After 4 glorious years of driving my 1995 Del Sol VTEC, I traded it in mid-September of 1999 for one of the first 10 Honda S2000s to hit the US market. The word had been out for quite a while that Honda was looking to replace the Del Sol with a true convertible. Unfortunately, there was never a lot of information, so the speculation was all over the place. Was it going to be a Civic-based platform or a different platform? In 1995, it hit the internet that Honda had released a concept car called the SSM prototype at the 1995 Tokyo Auto Show. Then, in September of 1998, right after Honda's first US convertible, the Del Sol, wrapped up its model run, Honda officially released the S2000 prototype images based off the SSM, advertising a 2.0-liter dual overhead cam VTEC engine with 240 horsepower. This information hit across all of the Honda enthusiast groups like a ton of bricks, and it was astonishing to see the hype in every single Honda message forum on the internet at the time. It hit the hardest with the Del Sol owners that I'll remind you were driving the only actual Honda convertible, because they were not only Honda fans but topless diehard enthusiasts as well. Then, on April 15, 1999, to celebrate Honda's 50th anniversary, they announced the production of the S2000 to be released in September 1999 as a 2000 model. The S2000 would match the SSM and feature a 2.0-liter engine with 240 horsepower at an absolutely insane 8,300 RPM with a mind-blowing 9,000 RPM redline. It would weigh only 2,800 pounds, which was light for the year 2000, and have 153 torque. The next day, I called up my local Honda dealer who I had already purchased 2 new Hondas from and told them that I wanted to put the money down on the first S2000 now, and that I would pay them $5,000 over MSRP for it. They accepted and took a $1,000 down payment, and then I waited until mid-September 1999. It turns out that these were delivered to the Port of Portland from Japan, and my dealer, being 5 miles away from the port, got it and slung it out to me the day it came out. So it ended up being, if not the first, at least one of the first top 10 in the US sold. At last, after 2 years of waiting, it was mine, and holy shit was it a ride. The performance numbers started coming out in the magazines. The numbers started looking amazing for a Honda, almost but not quite matching the NSX for a third of its price. In typical Honda fashion, they weren't going to show up their own halo car, the NSX. But the Honda S2000 numbers were stunning for the day. Lateral Gs at 0.95, 0 to 60 in 5.4, and the quarter in 14.2 seconds, all with the top down and hair flowing. While the Del Sol could compete with the Miata, being by far faster in a straight line but slightly lower in handling, it never got respect. The S2000 pounded the Miata into the dirt and left burnt rubber on its hood. Sorry, Miata owners, that is real history, not revisionist. Now, with my S2000 in hand, it's important to remind people of the purpose of this series, and that's to talk about these Hondas from a social context at the time they existed. The best place to start is with the immediate reaction from people on the road for the first 6 months of owning it. Even I hadn't seen any other S2000s on the road in my area of over 1 million people. Honda enthusiasts were surprised to see it. Many asked me if it was a prototype. The regular public was shocked and didn't even know what it was. For example, I had people ask me if it was a new Porsche. In the first week, I took my younger brother-in-law for a ride who was at the time building a souped-up Civic. We were sitting in the front of a major intersection waiting on a red light when a car drove by in the cross traffic with a lady literally hanging out the window screaming at the top of her lungs, "S2000! S2000!" I can't even count how many times on the freeway people would tear up next to me from nowhere, match speeds and stare, several times almost getting in accidents. Every gas fill-up drew a crowd. At another stoplight once, a dozen kids from I have no idea where ran out to the sidewalk to yell at me. This one was odd, even 10-year-olds. I can only think that they thought it was some kind of rare supercar. In the first 2 weeks, with less than 500 miles on it, I met up with some Del Sol owners at our local drag strip to lay down some rubber. The S2000 drew a large crowd all day, and by the time I pulled up to the line, the packed stands gave it a standing ovation. I did take it easy on launch and pulled a respectable time. This has to be the first actual drag of an S2000. These are some of the actual pictures taken by one of the fellas I met with. He had one of the first digital cameras, so the images are poor and I had to use ChatGPT to clean them up a bit, but they're still unaltered. On a funny side note, the S2000 was one of the first cars on the road with xenon front lights. The BMW 7 Series had them for a decade, but only a few luxury cars started installing them in 1999. They were extremely bright compared to halogens on every other car that people were used to. As anyone who has ever driven with them or modern LEDs knows, they have that distinct delineation line of light cut on the road in front and next to you as you drive. The chassis was so stiff, in fact stiffer than my 01 and 04 S2000, that every bump pushed that line up into the eyes of oncoming drivers. This basically resulted in just about every single driver I passed by at night flashing their high beams, as it probably looked like I was flashing mine at them. I eventually got so sick of it that I'd flash them back with my brights to return the favor of having my eyeballs blown out. That leads to the suspension on the S2000. While this series is not about technical issues, the new technology in the S2000 versus consumer Hondas is extremely important to note as it shapes Honda for the next 26 years. While the baby S2000, being the Honda Sol VTEC, was lauded for its precision engine and 5-speed manual in the exact same way as the S2000 was, the Del Sol was still a civic platform which was not designed for a missing roof structure, and the chassis flexed when it was gone. It was clear that Honda wanted to fix this with precision engineering to the very chassis of the S2000. They developed what was called the Honda High Rigidity X-Bone frame and brought the rigidity of the frame down low into the center of the frame. This structure actually impeded the floor space of the driver and passenger, it was so high. Honda engineered the S2000 with rear-wheel drive and the first longitudinal engine that was installed behind the front wheels, making it a mid-engine class car. This gave the S2000 the Halo 50-50 weight distribution and is the reason why its handling was out of the world for its time. In conclusion, driving an early S2000 was like being a rock star. It was insane, the enthusiasm was insane, and the car itself immediately became a legend. For those who dare say you paid $5,000 over MSRP for this car, take a look at what these things are selling for only 2 decades later. And by the way, good luck finding one that's not modified. I bought my first S2000 when I was 27. I liked it so much that I bought 2 more over the next decade. There is absolutely no doubt that the Honda S2000 for most Gen Xers is the first, if not the top 5 of the greatest cars built during our generation.